News Morning Show. I'm your host, William Honolulu Jr. Join us as we explore the news and opinions that impact our community. We break down how the major stories have a very personal, local, and racial impact. No topic is off limits, but even if the conversation gets rough, we're always going to keep it real. Greetings and salutations, all my people out there in internet land. I am William Honolulu Jr., and I have the privilege and honor of serving as the host of the BlackUSA.news morning show. Welcome to this Friday, March 18th, 2022, the 18th day of Women's History Month and National Awkward Moments Day. I like this one. This is an opportunity to celebrate those times where, like you see somebody and they wave at you and you wave back, but then you realize that they were waving at the person behind you. Or, when someone says, you know what I'm thinking, you're just like, yeah, and then you say the wrong thing or say what they're not thinking. They're like, no, that's not what I'm thinking. And by the way, where did you get that? That doesn't happen to you all? I mean, well, I see it on movies. It's not like that happens to me frequently. I saw it on a movie a couple times. That's why I brought it up. But happy National Awkward Moments Day. Take an opportunity to really reflect into the awkward moments and remember that awkward moment, the one you felt embarrassed or ashamed about, it really wasn't that bad, was it? You survived it. Not that you want it to happen again, but you survived it. It's now part of your experience, part of your memories, part of what makes you you, and honor that. So, as always, big shout out to the super producer, Kyle Crazy Horse Morgan. I am so grateful to have a brother like that on my side. So, big ups to Kyle and his family. And if you all just, give some positive energy, prayers, and good vibes into the universe for Kyle and his family, we'd appreciate it greatly. Also, a big shout out to our assistant producer, Brandy Raymar. Big ups to her. She's been helping hold it down on a lot of the behind the scenes stuff because this is a lot. It's a lot going on. There's a whole lot more happening with BlackUSA.news as well. You all will be hearing about that in the coming months. Let's see, what else is going on? I mentioned to you all before about Breadcoin. When you get a chance, go ahead and Google Breadcoin. Breadcoin is one of the newest sponsors that's coming on board, and Breadcoin is going to do some amazing things. One of the big things about Breadcoin, so let me tell you what it is a little bit. Breadcoin is an actual coin that people get, and is designed to help address issues around hunger and food insecurity. The way it works is that donors and other funders donate money to Breadcoin, and Breadcoin uses this money in partnership with local restaurants who are parts of the community, so that when anybody brings in a coin, they can use that to help pay for their meal. What that means is that people get to eat and still maintain their dignity. There are a lot of these programs, while well-meaning, they're embarrassing. We had one of our guests before, Jennifer Hubbard, talk about having to go to the Department of Social Services for assistance, and every time she left in tears because they treated her poorly. No one deserves to be treated like that. And so we are really happy to partner with Breadcoin so that people can have an opportunity to address food insecurity and still do it with dignity. So you'll be hearing a lot more about Breadcoin. They also got a big event coming up. Y'all know I get excited about stuff, boy, especially when we get an opportunity to change the dynamic in the communities that we serve. There is no better feeling to me. There's almost no other better feeling to me. All right. Big ups to Stacey Price. And today, a very special, Stacey Price of Aiden Marketing, Chief Experience Officer. She is one of my great friends, and we're looking forward to having her on the show. But it just hit me as I was saying that. Big shout out to one of my favorite people. We go back like babies and pacifiers. Crystal Saez, and a very happy birthday to Crystal. I would sing, but they got rules. So happy birthday, dear, and I wish you many more, and I'm hoping that we get a chance to celebrate real soon. Woot woot. You all know that this is still our month of Black women. Yesterday, we had an opportunity to take a look at some of the highlights from just a few of the shows that we've done this month on Black women. And today, I get an opportunity to introduce you to another one of the dope women that I know. Today, coming to you all is Ashlee Briddell, founder and CEO of Home Sweet Home, one of my mentees, an incredibly hardworking woman who is doing the damn thing out in Hagerstown and Western Maryland and really helping to change the experience for people who are alumni of the foster care system. So I'm gonna let her tell her story because I'll get excited when my people are on board. But for those of you all who don't know about our month of Black women, let me give you a little video to catch you up to speed. Dear Shanae and Simone, as you move through life as Black women, you will have a very unique experience. In many cases, you will be asked or expected to serve in roles that weren't clearly explained, nor did you really agree to. Over the course of my life, I have met some amazing women who have navigated some of the spaces that you will encounter. I want my village to share with you their stories of trials and successes to help provide a foundation to understand your power to choose the woman that you will become and the strength that you can find in your sisters. This series of shows is my gift to you. The women you will hear from are phenomenal. They come from different backgrounds and have chosen different paths for their lives. Each represents a facet of the Black woman experience. Some of the stories may not align with your journey directly, but those stories are even more important. By listening closely, you can learn about uncommon experiences and find ways to support your sisters along your shared journey. I love you all so much, and I hope to see you soon. Like I told you all, I know dope people, and I want to bring my dope people to meet my goddaughters. Maybe not meet them directly, but these shows provide an opportunity for us to share the stories, us to hear the stories. It's so amazing and so awesome. And so, like I told you before, I'm going to bring you another dope woman, Miss Ashlee Briddell, one of my mentees, one of graduate of Fosterpreneur program, like just and a really great advocate for youth and alumni of foster. You know what? I'm doing it again. I'm getting all excited and telling her whole story. Let me bring her on here so she can talk for herself. She don't need me to talk for her. Hey, Ashlee, how are you doing?
Hi. I'm in my car, so
Okay, no, that's cool, but that's part of what we're talking about. Like, Black women make it work where, however, and whenever they have to. You don't just wait around for something to come through.
yes,
You gotta take the meeting in the car. You take it in the car. If you gotta take it between appointments. You jump in, but that's really part of the story of Black women. So
being an entrepreneur isn't for the weak.
yeah. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's because I look at my show notes. My producer, Crazy Horse, he says you get excited, especially when you know somebody and you forget to introduce them to everybody. So I'm paying attention to the guidance and I'm listening. So let me give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashlee Briddell. I run a nonprofit for aged out foster youth called Home Sweet Home Foundation. We help them with housing, financial education, mental health, and connection to resources. And behind the scenes, I also run another company named Tinted Tresses. As you see, there's braiding hair. So we sell premium quality braiding hair. And that's it.
Okay, I like the way that you said that's it. See, again, they don't. I know the other parts of the story and all the other stuff, but that's okay. I'm gonna let you manage your own brand right here. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. All
I
right, so
do
I'm gonna.
have other stories, but I'm too
We'll get
excited
there.
like him
There.
too.
It'll come out. It's fine. All right, so I'm gonna start you off the way I start everybody else off. Okay. Jeff Bezos blasts a rocket into space, and some aliens are driving by our solar system. It's like, hey, what's happening over there at Earth? So they fly over there. I swear it's going to make sense. I swear it is. So they fly to Earth and they look around. It's like, yo, there's 7 billion people or 7 billion of these things on here, and they seem to be the dominant life forms. I don't know why. That's my editorial. But the aliens say, hey, some of you all are categorized by gender and by race, and you, Ashlee Briddell, are a Black woman. Tell me what it's like to be a Black woman.
Woo! So sometimes being a Black woman, there's always a narrative that is painted, but when you're a woman, you're in touch with your feminine side and making sure you know you're patient. Just you're strong. You have to be very strong, and because there's so many narratives painted of you, and you have to show people who you are. So for me, that's what being a Black woman is. You
Mm-hmm.
have to show people who you are, and just let them after that, if they how they take you is how they take you, or if they don't, they don't. And just, as a Black woman, you should move on and grow and, inspire to be better every day.
Okay. So you talked about having this kind of having to prove yourself or feeling like there's this narrative that's always doubting you. Where's that narrative coming? Well, first, what are they saying?
It's not a doubtful, not just a doubtful narrative,
Okay.
but of course there are. I had another, and I'm gonna give you a example, and
Mm-hmm.
I might make some enemies, but there has been another woman that of color that already painted a narrative of me,
Mm-hmm.
and she didn't know me,
Mm-hmm.
and so truthfully, I stay away from her. But truthfully, I just told her who I was and how I am, and that's it. And I just kept it moving.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. I had people say things to my face, uh, because they had a narrative about me. I had someone say something very rude to me, saying I was going to make it, and I had a lot of things, even from your own skin color. Just they'll say things to you that they wouldn't say if you were alone with them, or but they need to say those things to you for some reason. I don't know.
So
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 I
it
had,
oh, I'm sorry. Wow, I'm just
you're fine.
kicking. You got me all excited. I'm kicking around the camera stuff. Ooh. So some of this is like people are how do they even get the narratives of you? Like, where does this stuff come from? Like, when you were presented with it, is it something like they mistook something you said, or did they just come out of whole cloth and say, oh, because you're a Black woman you must be this?
Well, it's both. I also try to have like a light side towards me and not be all serious all the time. So I guess it comes off, how do you say, ignorant or idiotic, or just
Sarcastic.
that too. I don't. It's like I've been like, to be honest with you, that when you grow up and you grow up angry a lot, you want to be. You get older, you like, I want to be less angry and more playful and stuff. So it's a balance. And also, I had to realize, though, it's a time and place you do something too. Like, but I'm always trying to be jokey and stuff. I tried,
Mm-hmm.
but but with my boyfriend, shout out to him, I realized that
Absolutely, big up to Breon.
Breon. So he's more playful, and I'm trying to be a lot more like him. I aspire to be like him, and I try to be playful, but I had to realize it's the time and place. You're still learning,
Mm-hmm.
even though I'm mid-20s, still learning. So, but I want to be less serious.
Okay. Well, so one of the things you talked about was growing up, it's kind of your childhood informing what you considered appropriate interactions. Like, this is what playful is, and I'm angry and not really having a way to release it. It sounds like you have taken it upon yourself to try to find those things that you were not trained for before. How
Yeah.
did you make the decision to do that?
I just realized, I just looked at the person that I was raised by and the people I was raised by and just who I was around. And I was like, do I want to be like them? And I realized I don't want to
Mm,
be like them. And
okay.
yeah, thought, I thought a lot when I was younger, like, you overthink, but sometimes it could be a good thing, because you like, one time I stayed up all the way to 5 in the morning asking myself what if questions. And,
Hmm.
that was a anxiety moment that I didn't want to go back to. So I just was like, I don't want to be like those persons. What if I end up like that person, this person? So I
Mm.
realized I needed to change my circle, and I didn't want to be like the people who raised me and I've been around.
So there are some people who say that they made the transition because they saw something better and wanted it for you. You did the opposite. You saw what was around you and decided you didn't want that. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So
yes.
once you decided that this is not the life that I want, because that was the life you had, how did you find resources outside the life you had to get to? Because I'm assuming like most of the people in your sphere were these negative folks, and so they wouldn't have had any positive resources to bring. How did you find the positive resources?
Okay, I have to say, there was two.
Hmm.
So when I lived in Georgia, and I met this guy named Rico McDaniel, and he painted a picture of possibilities.
Hmm.
Um, so there was that, and then when I came back up here to Maryland, I found you, Mr. Hannibal, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. So those, and actually, that's the third thing. Yeah, those three
Okay.
things really painted what I thought.
So it sounds like it's really important, like when you are looking for the resources to, because you actively looked for fosterpreneur. It wasn't just one of those things you happenstance in. It's like you were looking for it. So part of it is you going out to find the resources, huh?
Mr. Hannibal, you're the reason I found Fosterpreneur. You forgot? You're the one that introduced me to Erica.
Yeah, I know, but like you were looking for something. You found me. I didn't just run
Yes,
across you
yes,
something like that's what I'm
yes,
saying. Okay. It was because I'm talking about your behavior. You went out and you found the resources. You
yes,
didn't just sit and go like, oh, nobody else around me has resources. I don't want to be like them, but I'm just gonna wait till something happens. That's what I want to make sure that my goddaughters understand. Like, you took control and made a decision and started working through
yes,
it. And you do, and real shout out to you, you do that every day. So
yes.
so so
Every day.
so let's do this. Talk about some of the challenges that you have been able to, or that you faced, and actually challenges that you faced, whether you've been able to overcome them or some that you may still be working on.
So, my mental health, truthfully,
Okay.
I have been working on that. I gotten better, but mental health is very important. I am big on mental health because of the fact that, again, Home Sweet Home offers mental
Mhm.
assistance. And so the mental health is a very big thing. And because what you thinking you're going to surround yourself by somebody positive, and then you find out, ugh, like, and so that's one thing. And also when you have your own overthinking, you're just again trained to be a certain type of way. It's a lot. That's a very big challenge to try to change who you are to but there's this book that I did start reading. I need to get back to it, truthfully, by Joe Dispenza, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's to change yourself,
Mhm.
to stop being who you are, and to change to who you want to be.
Okay.
And so I really need to get back to that book, but it's really hard. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Mhm.
That's by Joe Dispenza. And so I need to get back to reading that book. But the mental health is the biggest challenge for me because I have been very negative, and again, shout out to my man. And he'll have to tell me how to like be positive, what I can do. He's very motivated. If it wasn't for him, I don't know where I would be, truthfully.
Okay. And it also sounds like, the recognition that just surrounding yourself with positive people doesn't help you cleanse out what you have going on.
It does. When you're by yourself, you even just have those thoughts. You just
Mhm.
be angry. You just be like, it's a lot. And then if you're scared to be by yourself, like it's a lot. It's a lot. So both
Yeah.
ends, even be around people, even being away from people, mentally, if you're not straight, you are not straight.
And one of the things that it really is great, the recognition that if you haven't cleansed yourself, you may end up being toxic to the people that are trying to help you.
I
Um,
have to say yes. Yes. I've seen
and
it firsthand from myself, I'm gonna be honest. And I apologize even correcting myself, but the damage is still done. So you just gotta watch it and and I've seen it with other people.
mhm.
So
And one of the things that again, shout out to Breon. One of the things that is also important, especially in relationships, whether they are romantic, familial, or just kind of social, is having somebody who is made a decision to work with you through the stuff. Because a lot of things, and I want you to talk as much as you're comfortable. Talk a little bit more about some of the challenges that got you. As you talk about your mental health, this wasn't something that you did, it was a result of some things that happened to you. And so
yeah,
making that kind of distinction, even understanding that it was some of the things that happened, they weren't your fault. And that's a really big deal. And if you
yeah,
can't deal with some of those things, uh, being with someone, you're going to be the problem in the relationship because you're still struggling
exactly.
to find out who you are.
Yes. Yes.
So
I agree.
how have you been able to navigate this place of being trained and being hurt before working through your process of healing?
A therapist, of course. A
Okay.
therapist, but it don't take just a therapist. It also takes tracking what you do, why you did it, or even sitting down for a moment. Like even if in a heated moment, after that, people's adrenaline be rushing, but after that moment, that you need to sit down and think of why you act that way and explain that. It's hard to explain to the other person when you're not used to explaining things. But sitting down by yourself and just you got to think it through. Like you got to think about their perspective as well too. So it's not always about you. That's one thing you need. Some people need to come to terms with too. But you gotta just think it through. Just think it through, and sit by yourself and get that therapist that is willing to work with you and listen to you, even if you have days where it's like you just want to just talk crap or even talk positive, but talk crap. You have that therapist there.
Right, right, right. You're
You
absolutely
know,
right.
she don't know anybody. She's not biased, and yes,
The
she or he.
And one of the things that we talk about here when we cover mental health topics is exactly what you're talking about. The therapist provides you an opportunity to be honest and not care. Like you actually gave them money to keep your secrets, and by law, they have to. Ah, that's wonderful.
I gave them money or my insurance card, but
No, I'm sorry. That still comes out of your check somehow, some way. Don't get it. You better honor the money you paid on your premiums.
I had to make a joke. I had to make some type of
Yeah,
joke.
yeah. But that's my thing. So the therapist actually becomes a really critical part. The other thing that you talked about is how what a lot of people call overthinking is just really making up stories in your head to make the world make sense. And we
Yeah,
don't even realize the stories in our head. And then the way that the example that I use for people is that I've never been to England, never been to England, but I know they drive on the opposite side that we do in the United States.
I didn't know
I,
that.
I,
I thought
I
that was only in like Japan or China and stuff.
No, they drive on the opposite side, and the reason I know that is that I've seen enough movies. I've talked to people who've been there. I've seen pictures. I've read articles, and so I know that to be the case. But I actually don't know it. I've never
Yeah,
been there. I've never seen
that's
it firsthand.
true.
But
That's
that's how
true.
a lot of us get our information.
Yeah,
Oh, and you talked earlier about people having narratives about you, and that's what it is.
yeah,
It's just like me. Like if I'm getting ready to go to London, I'm going to learn how to drive on the opposite side and stuff like that. I'm gonna buy a car that's designed on the opposite side, but I still don't know that for myself. The same way we engage people. It's like, oh, I heard about you, Ashlee. Well, wait a minute. You ain't never been to London. You ain't never been to England. You might have read a brochure, but you ain't never been here. So
yeah.
how do you navigate the fact that some people, everybody's going to create a story, even whether it's based on your name, your skin color, your location,
Yeah.
or whatever? How do you balance the fact that they're going to create a story with you making sure that the story is accurate?
I mean, the one thing I thought about, and I'm not even gonna lie. Earlier, I was like, well, even if you know a fact about me, did I tell you that it was a fact about me? I mean, at the end of the day, they're just gonna. There's always gonna be something that's made up, or not even if it isn't made up. I don't have to tell you if it's true. So, like at the end of the day, it's like your narrative about me or whatever. And also, you probably caught me at a bad day too, or a good day, or just I don't know day. I mean,
Mm.
I came to the conclusion that, do I really care about you to be like I care about you, think what you think about me? I mean, I can let
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Honolulu think about me, because at the end of the day, I enjoy Mr. Honolulu. But if I did not know Mr. Honolulu, and
Right.
I'm just like, Mr. Honolulu, like, Ashlee, I heard you, I saw you. I was like, I'll be like, who are you? I was
Right.
like, who are you? Like, I don't really like. So I came to that conclusion. Like, at the end of the day, I really just don't care. I'm gonna be
So,
honest. Like,
so I like the way that you phrase that, but I,
but
I, okay, go ahead.
hold on, your reputation still is important. Now, don't I know y'all hear me here, but your reputation still is important. It also to a certain, but also if somebody's just talking crap to you, just tell them go on. But
So one of the,
still
I'm sorry.
carry yourself well. I'm sorry.
No. That was my fault, because what you said reminded me of what several other women who have come on the show this month have said. It really is about establishing your boundaries. And so while you say is that you don't care about them, I would give you pushback and suggest that it's not that you don't care about them, their opinions, is that you care about your opinion more. And
Yes,
so,
yes,
so
and
if
also
there's a
yeah,
conflict between their opinion of you and your opinion of you, well, why would you care about you theirs more than yours? And I think, again, I don't, because I've known you for a little bit now, and it's not like you come off, you're not trying to be mean, like I don't care about you. It's like, no, I just care about me more.
yeah,
Is that
yeah.
okay? Okay. I
Yeah,
ain't trying to put words in
but
your mouth.
there is two things you have to understand though too. Now we can all say we don't care about how people think about us. We all can
Mhm.
say it. But deep down though, a lot of people, we did at one point, I'm gonna be honest, I did. Yeah, at the end of the day I came to the conclusion, well, I don't care about those people. Why would I even care what they say? Now, it's one thing to say it and one thing to actually show and mean it. But and also I also came to the conclusion as well is that I think I lost my train of thought, Mr. Honolulu, but that was a good one right there.
Actually, I want to jump in on that one, because you anchor into a really good point. It's like a lot of people are looking for this story themselves in their head. Like they want to create a life as opposed to looking at what life actually is, being
Yes.
themselves.
Yeah.
And you talked about validation and those feelings. Let's be clear. Those are necessary. Humans
Yeah.
are social creatures. Like we don't survive as a species without each other. And so we are biologically predetermined or biologically designed to need each other. Like babies, one of the things that happens with babies is that a baby can't survive without another human caring for it, or somebody caring for it. So the baby actually genetically is designed to be cuter. It makes these noises. You ever notice how babies do a lot of different things, but when they find a thing that works, that's the only thing they do? If they know if they cry when they're hungry, and you'll come and feed them whenever they get hungry, they're going to cry. If they start looking cute and you give them food, well, they're going to do that. And their bodies are designed to do that. And so what happens is we're genetically designed to need validation from each other. Also,
Yeah.
humans are fragile. Humans physically are fragile. Honestly, you put a human out in the wild, we're not going to survive without some tools and some ropes and some other stuff. Most of these other animals, you just drop them out there a couple of years, they'll figure it out and they'll survive. We can't. We need each other, so we need validation. There's nothing wrong with wanting
Yeah.
validation, but
Nothing's wrong with validation, but
the issue is,
sometimes you
but
gotta
I think.
realize
Mhm.
that you will never be valid with some people because they purposely want you to keep doing more and more to get their approval.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. It is not that you don't need validation, is that you need to understand where you get validation from. Because there's this one video, and this guy is going around, it's a thin guy, thin guy cut up like a bag of dope, just standing there with his chest open on the beach with his shirt, and he's interviewing women. He's like, "Hey, okay, so tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you see yourself?" And what I tell my female friends is that is a predator's question, because what that is opportunity for me to assess how you view your self-esteem, to see how vulnerable you can be. And so
Man, yeah,
and so
I'm big on that for women too. I be giving women advice on that because I think I understand, man. before, but yeah.
So one of the things that happened is that this one young lady, she said, "I'm a 10." He's like, "Okay, okay. You think highly of yourself, huh?" She said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, no, seriously. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate yourself?" She said, "A 10." And he was like, "What's wrong with you?" But think about what that says. You are designed, and you should. Why wouldn't you not be your 10? Why would somebody who is not you be your aspiration? Like think about what that means. If you are not your own 10, that means you are forever gonna be in second place because you are the judge. That is when the validation becomes problematic. When you don't realize your worth. And now realizing your worth, not realizing, deciding what your worth is. That is the thing. You decide what it is, and it's up to other people whether they can afford it or not. That has nothing to do with you.
Yes, there is that, and also because he couldn't he and it sounded like he because of the fact that he couldn't make her think what he wanted her to think too. I noticed that.
Yes.
And that
And so again, that's what I'm saying. It's a predator question because the other part too is if you start off with 10 and I ask you again and you change the number, now I know you're insecure. You front like you're big, you front like you're great, but now you're insecure. So I know there's a weakness in your armor. And so it is those kinds of engagements and those kinds of tactics that when you have not and I don't want to say found your value, and that's one of the things I appreciate about you is that you have established your value. Like
yeah.
and I love it because you consequences be damned. It's like this is how I'm going to be treated, and okay, like you don't have nobody has to agree with me, but you have made this deciding what your boundaries are your job and enforcing those boundaries. You're like
Yeah.
you can ask me whatever you want. It's not your job not to ask me. It's my job to tell you how I want to get down.
Yes, and I'm working on this, but I'm gonna be honest. And some people probably think this is rude. I just will be quiet and just look at you if I don't want to answer your question. But I'm working on it. I'm working
But but,
on
but
it.
here's the thing. What's wrong with that? So for me, I
I
so
don't sign up to that.
right. So but
But
that's one of the things that I try to do in my engagements with people because I'm like, all right, I told you I don't want to talk about this anymore. You are continuing to talk about it. What would you like me to do? Because
oh, no, 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 no,
you know what I'm
no.
saying? No, I'm
Let's
saying
do
that's what I do because
uh,
I'm trying again like you. I'm learning because for me it's like why are you talking to me? Stop talking. Will
I'm the same way.
Yeah, and I'm like, actually, let me tell you what happened during one of my anxiety episodes. I was in a meeting, and I was like, "All right, you all have invited William here, and you have told now you all having conversations that don't involve William. William needs to go. You told William to come here to sign checks. William is here to sign checks. You need to give William checks because William needs to go now." And I'm like, I don't want to
Yeah,
be that guy. And
yeah,
so what I do is trying to manage the anxiety when I don't understand. Is like, hey, what do you want me to do? Because I've given you a boundary
you
because.
got to make sure too though is like people try to waste your time, and so you can't have your time wasted. You
Well,
can't like you
I,
can't have you obviously don't respect my time. I said I'm coming here to sign checks and I'm leaving.
but wait, so that's one of the things. Let's talk about that for a little while, because what you just did is that you made an assessment of how they valued my time. So what we do a lot of times is say that I will look at the behavior to try to figure out the intent. The problem with that is that my intent is my intent. You looking at my behavior to try to figure out my intent is you creating a story in your head about why I did something. And again, you might be right. That's one of the problems with the story, like driving in
Might
London,
be right.
right?
Might.
Like driving in London, like I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like it. And sometimes the story in my head comes from other people, and so it's right because they have credibility. But what if the person who went there the last time went there in the '60s? And all this the footage I'm looking at is from the '60s, and now they do it on the other side. It's you got to make sure your information. And again, you do an amazing job of setting boundaries and enforcing boundaries. Again, how do you navigate? Because I also know you get angry when people you've established a boundary and people go through it. So how do you navigate being angry about people violating your boundaries or being condescending and still moving on to the work that you need to get done?
I start to place you in there's this thing, yes, there is, and yes, I know people be like, don't place me in a box, but there's this arm's length box where it's so okay, so you know there's someone that's at my shoulder we're very close with. I'm very close with her, and she's fine. When she started to violate boundaries, then she goes to my elbow. And then after that, you go to the fingertips. So that's how I look at it. I
Okay.
look at my arm and be like, where I'm going to place this person. So
So
I
what
love
do you,
them.
so one of the things that a lot of some of the many of the black women that have been on the show and my friends, they talk about being defined by some of these roles. And so what you just described makes perfect sense. It's like I give you a boundary. If you're going to violating this boundary, you need to go further out because I can't trust you to be closer to the good stuff. Like I can't, if you're going to mess up my furniture on my porch, I'm not bringing you in the house. And so but a lot of times I have found is that there's this balance between maintaining your boundaries and maintaining the relationship. And in many cases, black women tend to prioritize the relationship over their personal boundary. How do you
That is a
navigate
problem. That is a problem.
that?
I
Okay.
am not big on you being related to me, you being friends, how long. It don't, because at the end of the day, like a lot of people value put time over the fact of how they feel. And at the end of the day, like I just had to stop dealing with someone that's been related to me, of course, since I've been born. But
Right.
it's been better. And at the end of the day, I feel better. And people just think that time matters more than how somebody treats you. And
Mm.
yeah, I mean, that's just me. I'd rather how they treat you is how they feel about you. If you don't pay attention to how they talk to you, if you don't pay attention to every time they invite you to an event, you go, but when you invite them to yours, they don't come. So if you don't pay attention to that, it's just more people have to realize you got to have more. You, you're observant, but are you observant to the people closest to you, or are you? What's that other thing to you just gotta pay it. You gotta common sense. Excuse me. Yes, common sense. Like at the end of the day, and then also there's common sense, and then there's just paying attention. You're very observant, but you might be observing again the wrong people.
Mm.
Because I had someone close to me. A lot of people. There's a list. I mean, but they've done a lot of stuff, and I was like, it's done. We're done.
And so in your relationships, you establish what the boundaries are and you let people know that if you violate the boundary, there are consequences.
Yes, and then also people. There's this thing that I had Breon again. Shout out to Breon. In the beginning, he was telling me you gotta tell somebody in the beginning. Yet you don't know what they do until they do it.
Say about
So
it. Say,
we talked
yeah.
about that before, and so if I didn't know you disliked that, like at the end of the day, if you shout out to whoever has a whole list of things that they don't like, and then they tell you in the beginning. I don't think anybody does that. That's what I was explaining to him before. And but when they do it, when someone does it, you say you don't like it, and then they keep doing it. It's just very disrespectful, and so they don't care.
So, well, okay. So one of the things that, and I love to give you pushback on stuff like this. Again, that whole they don't care. Again, doesn't matter whether they care or not, because I've seen a lot of my people get manipulated because someone may genuinely love them, may genuinely care about them, but they are still bad for them. And so looking at the difference between how you feel and how you engage, because regardless of how much somebody may genuinely love you with everything they have. And if they're abusive, however you define that, well, that's still a deal breaker in some cases, no matter
That's
how
what
much
I
they
say.
feel. And so I'm saying that's why I like to focus on the actions. What do you, huh?
Yeah, it's what you just said. Focus on the actions. Like I sat down and was talked to some type of way for years, and I realized that person needs to go all the way to not past my fingertips to space.
It could be in another building.
Yeah, and
So,
so
oh, I'm sorry.
you're fine, Simon. I'm working on listening because I get too excited again.
That's why I love talking to you because we do the same thing. Because I'm like, oh, I have so much stuff. That you notice that I'm trying to keep this from like one of our regular conversations where I just
I
keep
know.
yelling. Because I try to do this professionally. Like they don't need to see all of that. Well, they see it. I ain't gonna lie, I do that a lot here. Yeah, I try
You
to
see
control
some
it.
things, people. You see us a
Huh?
little bit.
What you say?
I said they see us for a little bit right now. You see how we are.
But so I believe, and let's say that I believe that it's healthy when you, especially when you're establishing and enforcing boundaries, that it stops at the action, not the intent. Because if, again, in using that situation, I may be able to, I can let you see my whole heart, give you whatever lie detector, brain scan test, and you can tell that I love you with everything, but I cannot keep myself from hitting you when I get drunk. Like, that doesn't matter how much I care. But if you start saying you hit me because you don't care, well, if I can show you I care, the issue still doesn't resolve itself. The issue is that you hit me. And whether that is talking to me disrespectfully, whether that's spending my money, whether that's going someplace without, whatever those things are, those need to be enforced, because otherwise, communicated and enforced, and as they change. Because guess what? Some stuff you may not like, or maybe an absolute deal breaker in the beginning of a relationship, once you understand the world or your values change, that might be some stuff you're like, absolutely, we got to do that every Thursday. But it's that commitment to being who you are and knowing when to wear your mask.
Yes.
Because let's talk about that a little bit, because that is one of the things that Black women talk about so often, this having to be more than one thing all the time. You have to be super strong woman, but super sensitive woman too. You have to be a warrior and a corporate maven, but at the same time, you got to be sexy and attractive, but not too sexy and attractive, because then you got to be, but you also don't want to be too smart, but you don't want to be too dumb. It's like all of these things. It's like, yeah, I am like.
Well, the question is though, who are you asking these questions to? Because I let Bree on. I'm in a relationship. Single woman has to be strong, independent. I could still be independent if I was with my man. I could, but then it is no point. He could be gone now because I'm independent. I can, so I let
Right.
him take on things because he's a man, and I, being a super strong and stuff, like I don't have to carry all my bags. He said he'll do it, and I'll let him do it. And
Okay.
so, but being a single woman, I'm not even gonna lie. When I was single, and if you're a single mother, I'm not a mother, so I don't know. But being single, being all those things, yes. Being with my man, he's here to take away
Some of
some of the
those
things.
things.
Yes.
But
I'm working on it because Mr. Hannibal, I used to be so assertive in
yeah,
my aggression. So
but
I'm working.
one of the things that I want to highlight isn't just that that you have made these adjustments to accommodate him. There are a lot of adjustments that he has made to accommodate you. It is the decision. It is not that he is so. It is being with him that is. It is not that you have a man that is super awesome. It is the fact that it is Breon and you all found each other and you all have worked through it. It doesn't just happen magically. And I always respected the way that you all have engaged that way. That is a big shout out to y'all.
It doesn't work. It was so hard. Like I mean, I don't know a good example because there's so many, but more of the because I'm a very assertive, aggressive person, and it's more being um. This is my preference. This is my preference. I'd
Mm-hmm.
rather be more submissive, and so that was one of the things. It was hard to I'm still working on it,
Mm-hmm.
but when you're always the go-ho, I'm the leader, I'm the captain. You don't sink the ship because you can't be captain. So I was like, he got this, he got this, he got this. But I'm still there. Like today, he didn't want to go to his eye doctor appointment. I was like, you're going. So, you
So
know,
you all have found a way to balance each
yeah,
other's shortcomings, or each other's the areas that you all have challenges. You all come together and
yeah,
have decided to do that.
yeah.
Now,
It's a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice.
one of the things you said is that your preference is to be submissive, and you also talked about never having that opportunity before. That is another thing I hear for a lot of Black women, is that even from the time of being young, they have responsibilities. I had one young lady on, and she talked about from her being 3-4 years old, having to go get diapers, help clean up, and this type of stuff because her mother had another baby. And all of these people throughout most of their lives have always been asking for stuff, hey, I need you, and your focus has been service. So that whole I don't have anybody to depend on because it has to be me and I have to serve everybody else. Has that contributed to some of the things that you felt beforehand about not being able to be submissive because there was nobody to support you? I'm sorry, I don't know if that question actually made sense. I realized. Okay.
No, it's okay. I had to make sure, because my ADHD kicked in. I was like, squirrel. So I had to say, okay. I did have. I felt like they were there. I'm gonna say
Mm-hmm.
the person was there, yet she wasn't. So
Mm-hmm.
just being there and not attending to my needs the way I needed doesn't mean that she was not. I'm gonna say she, yes, was a bad person, but also my needs are not being met. So I just was like, I'll just have to do it on my own. Yeah, and so to have a man to take that away and let me relax and actually trying to really be, it's hard. Like he's trying to be there, but it's just like, but I can lift this myself. But and at the end of the day, it's fun. It's fun sometimes now when I can be like, well, he can lift this. He got this. Like so it's
So
just like,
how, how
okay,
did you
sorry
do?
for the noise.
How did you develop the trust? Because it sounds like you went from a situation where there wasn't anybody to count on to a place where you're growing to kind of rely on somebody more. Like that's a huge difference.
I want to do an ugly face. so, we're still working on that because again, even when you live with somebody or be with someone, you don't know someone still. But the thing is because I came from other relationships where it's still like a lot has been done, and it's hard. It's just it's hard not to associate the people with the like. It's
Yes.
hard not to, but they're all different. They're all different. All men are not the same. This is just
Okay.
my opinion. They're not all the same, and so it was hard to grasp that because it was just like I felt like I was always, ugh, ugh, but always around it. Like felt like I was around the same guy, and so at the end of the day, I had to realize that he isn't.
Mm. So it again, you talk about a lot of these realizations, and I'm interested. How did you get to that realization? Like, was it just one day it hit you, or did you see stuff over time? Did it grow, or how did it happen?
Okay. I just just grow, pay attention, listen. That,
Mm.
oh my goodness, the listening part is like, it's not hard. It's just that some of us wants to be right and we're not right all the time. So the listening thing is the biggest thing. You raising your hand.
Yeah, I see. I don't. It's not that I like to be right. It's just that I am right all the time. It's just so annoying sometimes.
Oh my God. It was so funny. I won't put your zodiac sign on there, but I saw something that was like, why are you always right? And I was like, I seen that earlier. I was like, Mr. Honorable. I was like, Mr. Honorable. Then somebody was asking questions, why do y'all always think y'all right? And then somebody in the comments was like, because I am.
Damn, like I didn't. I don't think I am. It's like I got evidence. There's a list, and see, I was right. Look at all this, all to the right time.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
so let's talk about some of your greatest successes. There, we've talked about the challenges, and really, and continue to be impressed with how you engage it, your resiliency, and the way that you keep coming back and taking it to new levels each time. I remember when Home Sweet Home first started with some scribbles on a notepad and an idea, and y'all out here getting grants now. No, no, but I want people to show because a lot of people
I'm
think
just
that
messing.
you wrote. No, I know, but I want them to understand that a lot of people think people just it just happened for you. No, you put in the work, and I want people to know that it started with an idea on a sheet of paper that might or may not happen to a place where you have a board, a place where you have bylaws, a place where you got your 501c3, you pull together resources to do it yourself. The fact that you do these bags and things that you have helped all these people out in Western Maryland. The fact that you have done all of these events with the lawn care. The fact that you created a network in Frederick in that area of people to donate stuff so that you can sell and provide resources to other people. Like that's big shit. And so you're like, but a lot of people just see that. I see her when she's on Facebook or Instagram or on BlackUSA.news. Like they only see you then, so they don't understand everything else you did to get there. So now, and I really want to celebrate that because we need to understand how much work Black women do to really make it look. Because again, you're not out here showing all the like sleepless nights and the arguments and stuff like that, but those happen, and I want people to understand it's not just them. It's not just them, and it's not just you because you're not doing it right. And that's the job. And I want them to know that the Black women out here putting in the work.
Yes. Yes. So, I so for my journey, like I was going to go back to college. I did drop out of college. Sorry, everyone. So I dropped out of college.
We're gonna put a pin in the whole dropout and that apology. We're gonna put a pin in that because I'm gonna circle back around to that.
And I dropped out, but I did one semester, and I was like, y'all got me messed up because I asked my teacher, "You own a business?" And he was like, "No." I was like, "Well, you can't teach me nothing. Like, get out of here."
I apologize. We have to transition from from host to mentor role again. We got to switch. I'm gonna say something real quick. Y'all excuse me. We got to have a private conversation. Y'all get to listen to. You never apologize for not graduating or not finishing college. And let me tell you why. Because you are out here doing the damn thing. I'm gonna tell you this. So I am a legitimate subject matter expert when it comes to small business development, especially nation stage businesses. And I will tell you hands down without condition, caveat, or anything else, there is not a damn degree program in this country that would have helped you more than you have helped yourself. So never, but I want you to understand, do not apologize to none of these motherfuckers about that. Do you let them know that?
Oh, it is your show.
I mean, I'm gonna get a fine for that. But like, this is important enough. Well, oh yeah, no, they got rules and stuff. I was like, you knew who I was before you hired me. So I mean, that's why I just cut aside a little piece of my check and be like, okay, that's for y'all. But we give it to charity, so I feel okay with like, so like I can say 2 motherfuckers, and that means Breadcoin's gonna get some more. Like I just bought. Actually, like I'll do an MF so I can get that 50. So I just bought like 20 Breadcoin. Nah, how about that? I'm helping people.
My charity needs to be on that list. Something today. I'm not gonna say something because at the end of the day, I'm running out something. We ain't gonna talk like that. But every time he cares, he better come to Home Sweet Home Foundation.
But yeah, so never apologize about not going to college to anyone. Like I know people who got degrees. Hell, I help people edit their dissertations who aren't doing as much work for the community as you are, who have not had as much impact on lives. So you owe no one anything. As a subject matter expert, I could say that, and my word is without contestation. It's like when I break out my old medieval words, we serious. I broke out like that. That's like a 18th century word. 17 probably, most 17. Sorry.
I couldn't afford it college, but I'm not going. I wasn't going to pay for university. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I stopped.
Right, though. I'm sorry. You were right about that. Like
I was right for my journey in my life. At the end of the day, people take things to and just be like, well, I thought you said this. And I'm like, for me, I didn't go to school. I didn't finish because of the fact I knew I was desperate to be an entrepreneur and for greater things. And so, I mean, you can take notes and you can listen if you like to. And, as long as you can do, but the biggest thing is doing research. As an entrepreneur and just as a person, just do a lot of research.
Yeah, and I'll give you credit on that. Like, I work with hundreds of small businesses a year, and one of the things that you have been consistent over the years is that you get tasks done, and that has been real cool. And even when it's so funny, you were when we would meet, you'd be like, "Oh, I haven't finished that." It's like, okay, so what was happening? You're like, yeah, but I was doing this program, this, and got this grant. It's like, don't worry about my homework if you're making money. The hell you? But that is
Like,
what that
we
is one of
were
the.
told that homework was important when we were younger. So what you expect?
But,
Like, how are you
but that's also what I'm saying about you and this whole thing about going to college and your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah,
Those like that's
I
also one
don't
of the
think I would
reasons.
have started.
Right, because it's so funny that our educational system is designed to teach us how to follow directions, right? It's because it doesn't matter. I had this the one story the lady keeps telling, or the lady told, and I love retelling, is how her kid, she had a letter home from the teacher. The teacher was like, your child was disrespectful. I said that miles are 1,065 feet, and he got up and told me I was wrong and started debating with me in class. He has detention. Granted, he was right, but he
Yeah,
should have
what to
respected.
say?
But do you see what I'm saying? Like that to me encapsulates the entire idea of public education, especially. I just want you to be a good employee, follow the directions, do whatever I write down, just memorize it and get. You don't need to
Yep,
know even why you need to do it. Just
yep.
follow the direction.
Just be a sheep.
And one of the things is that with that being our entire educational system, even and actually it gets more intense the higher you go. Actually with the students I work with in their dissertations, I tell them it's a hazing process. It is. You might as well get in the cut and take a paddle. Like that's how this process works because what they want is people to follow directions. But entrepreneurs like you are by definition disruptive. Like you, by definition, starting a business is an act of rebellion. It is an act of economic warfare. So why you want to teach? How you going to teach people to do? How are you going to teach radical thinking in an organized setting?
I noticed I was always the black sheep of my family, and just just when I was way younger, I was very outspoken. I was thinking what I want to
I'm
think,
sorry. Did
and
you say when
so
you were way younger?
way younger as
Okay.
in like I'm gonna give it. I'm true. Listen, 10, 10, 10 years
Oh, so,
old. 10
okay.
years
So,
old.
but I'm
10 years
saying,
old, I already started thinking about what I wanted to do because I was always
yeah,
kept telling
yeah,
people
yeah.
at first I was going to be a dentist. At first, like I actually cared. And like everybody, I cared. So yeah, a lot of times when you think, and I thought different. I didn't think like a lot of people because of the fact that I was always overthinking. So
It's not. So let me just say, as we get ready to wrap this up, I'm just going to suggest to you, and you might want to talk to the therapist about this, that it wasn't necessarily overthinking. It was the fact that because you didn't have the support you needed growing up, you always had to think for other people because you couldn't rely on somebody having your back. So when you are now having your own resources, why would your brain stop thinking like that? Your
yeah,
brain has been trained to think for other people because you can't. I can't trust that you're gonna be there for me. So I got a plan for not. I got a plan to ask you, and then plan for you to fail on me. So I got to have a backup plan to the backup plan. And
I
and,
have to
and
explain that to my man all the time, and so he gets so upset. And I'm like, look, it's been since I was younger. I asked somebody this question. He told me it was this, but somebody else told me it was that. So I'm going to ask multiple times. So it's just like, okay.
but that again, one of the great things that I do appreciate about you all's relationship is that you all take the time to learn each other, and not just because it was going to be clear that you were not just going to concede your personality to be with somebody. Like that was never going to happen.
Oh
But,
man. And to be honest, yeah. So
but
yes,
but what
I
you did,
realized that.
what you did is that you weren't going to give up your personality to be with him. But what you did is that your personality has changed as you all have been together. And the difference for me is the fact that it's not about his choice that makes the relationship special. It is about the fact that he meets your needs and you all are able to grow together that makes the relationship special.
Yes. Yes, thank you. My God. For sending me him. Because I gave up. I gave up. I gave up. You don't know. I gave up. And then here he comes. I'm like, huh. Like,
But
go away.
that's normally I hear that a lot when people have stopped looking because the interesting part is that when you are looking, you are trying to get somebody to choose you. When you stop looking, you find somebody that has chosen you.
Yeah,
So
and yeah, yes.
Right. Well, I've kept you on here all this time. I
Oh,
am
you
so grateful for you being here.
know,
No, no,
I'm
but I do gotta
happy.
go because I already got like 2 or 3 cursing violations today, and I don't want to get the overtime violation too.
Let's go to the Home Sweet Home Foundation.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna talk to him. We gonna put you on the list.
Yes,
Actually, you know what?
please,
No. Seriously,
please.
make sure you schedule time to talk to me because actually there's a project that Black USA News is working on that I want to pull you into. So make sure it's
Okay.
get the link up and schedule time as soon as we can because that's
Yes.
that. Thank you for saying that because you are absolutely right. Yes. Okay. All right. So now I'm getting
I'll
excited.
text you. Hi, have a great day, everybody. Have a great day, Mr.
All right.
Honolulu.
All right. Thank you, Ashley. Oh, didn't I tell you I know dope people? I know amazing people. And I get to introduce you to them. Thank you so much for being here and working with us and enjoying this conversation with Ashley. We will be black tomorrow.